No, there's a lot. There's a lot there. That's incredible. I mean, you talk about behaving like you already have the job, out of sight, out of mind. You don't want to be out of sight or out of mind. You want to be in sight and in mind. And the best way to do that is to help people solve the problems that they, as people, no matter what their executive level is, are going to have. And just doing it because you actually, not just randomly, but you are interested in the subject matter. You are interested in the skill matter. And so you want to not just tell people about what you can do through a resume, but you want to show and tell. And so that's another segment that we're going to start later on with the whole podcast. We'll have a whole segment just on showing and telling, where we bring in different students and founders, and they just show what they're building.
Yeah.
But I think that's great. But one thing that you mentioned is an apprentice, and how you were essentially an apprentice to Dr. Perkins. And so how should students go about finding that apprentice, that apprenticeship right now?
Let's see, how did I land in it? He asked me for a 2-year commitment. So I made it kind of like missionary style. I had my low salary, but I was fully committed. I was there. And we didn't call it that, but I look back and that's what happened. So I was fully present. I was there I lived there.
Yeah.
I lived in the community. We had a compound. It was just 6 houses that were together, and we shared the backyard. So it was, so I was fully immersed 24/7 at the spot. And yeah, I was fine with the low pay. I wasn't doing nothing, I was really happy. I loved the place. I was so happy to be there at Harambee. And part of it, part of this whole thing is that there's a bit of a long game. I'm not sure how much of this I would have gotten a summer or even a year. But when you're around a place long enough, it isn't just that you learn things, you get to do things.
That's good. That's really good.
So, people talk about, I worked my way up, I was a janitor, I did this and that. Well, when you're at, I don't know, let me just say a nonprofit, I'll just use a nonprofit again. And you're a volunteer, well, if you can, at all possible, be around there a lot. You gotta like them, they gotta like you, fun with the kids or whatever. But I'm a tutor and I help out with the cleanup crew, or, whenever they have a mailing, I help with the mailing, or there's an event and I man the event at the thing. Or, I help the executive director. They had some paperwork, or they need help with the budget. I mean, there's always, when people actually grow to trust you a little bit and they know that you can do stuff.
That's good.
The risk is they'll start dumping stuff on you because they're getting good stuff for free, okay? or almost free. I think, so that's always going to be your choice. How much of this do you want to do at your own risk? But I think, and it's not like when I was apprenticing it with Dr. Perkins, I didn't do everything that everybody was trying to get me to do, but I did a lot. I got to do a lot. He had me doing his budgets for these projects. I didn't grow up with budgets. I mean, I kind of knew some basic stuff, but I grew up with none of that. But he was willing. He saw that I could do a few things, and so he said, can you do this? And then there's my aunt. There's another little Uncle Rudy statement. You ready?
Ready.
Say yes to the invitation.
Say yes to the invitation.
Let's say somebody's like, hey, you can write. Will you do this Excel spreadsheet? And let's say you have a mortal fear of Excel spreadsheets. Say yes to the invitation and just put yourself into this weird situation and just go I gotta figure this out. That's my other, by the way, when I look back on my life, I put myself into situations where I was forced to do things that I wanted to do. Yeah, there's nothing like being in a situation and being forced to, kind of like with school. You got to, the paper's due Friday. It's Wednesday night or it's Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
You are now in a situation, and lo and behold, you get the thing done.
Right. That's
So
true. That's true. I felt
those
a
things,
lot of that in school growing up, those deadlines, but hey, it's one day left. I got to do it.
let's say you love an arts organization, and say for the next 30 days, I'm going to give you 10 hours a day. And I'll
Wow.
just sit around if there's nothing to do. You need somebody to take this elderly person on, down the block. I mean, you would be amazed at what happens when you're present. Amazed at the things that open up. So I think that's all I ever did. And then after a while, if people get to know you as being able to get things done, the doors will open.
Yeah.
And then of course, they're like, well, we can pay you $500 a month and you'll do all this stuff. You're always going to have a choice. But the key is for people to know you. It's not, everybody's like, it's who you know. No, it's not who you know. It's who knows you.
That's good, Rudy. Who knows you?
I know a lot of rich people, but do they know me?
Right. However, people got to make money right now. Right. Yeah. So what do you say for someone who it's like, hey, I will absolutely open to volunteering so that I can, position myself and prepare myself for future opportunities. But what do you do just in this case where there's so much urgency to actually have some sort of income coming in?
Great. So I think it's a two-step. Take anything you can get. I mean, I know you want to do something in your field of study or career.
The dream, the student dream, right?
I'm like, get paid.
Okay.
But tell people. And then the third thing is keep doing the projects that are your thing. Like, again, sorry for the writing thing, but actually, no.
I love it.
Let's say you're into business and finance. Your project could be, volunteer, help somebody with their budget. There's some nonprofit work, and limit it. I'm going to do 4 hours a week with that. So one, just work anywhere. Just bring in some dollars. But two, I really think the key is let people know. Because what's going to happen is somebody's going to, let's say you're a business major, but you're working at the art studio, driving people. You're a driver for an art studio because they're paying, they're making money.
Right.
You're a business major, but you let people know that. You don't know who's listening.
That's good.
You don't know, because here's what it says to me. Let me put my employer hat on. I don't have anybody under me. I'm not hiring, but I used to run a nonprofit. I had all these employees. So the employer hat, let me tell you what that says. Hey, they're a business major, but they're being a driver for arts. You know what? So they have some humility. They're willing to do what's needed. They can recognize that, that sometimes you got to do things, to provide. That's being very responsible. Hey, they're telling people what they're doing. That's a big step, because sometimes you do stuff and you're not really excited, or it's not your brand or something.
Right.
But you know what? This is a unique person. Look at who they are. They're willing to let people know. They're working. They're putting in the hours, because that's what needs to happen right now. And they're also volunteering a couple hours, helping someone with their budget. That's an interesting person, because let me tell you what the alternatives are. The alternatives are somebody comes to me for a job and they're like, yeah, I want to get a job. I want to get paid what I'm worth, and I know people around here got some jobs. And so I don't want you to exploit me. I'm like, well, okay, thank you. We don't really have any openings, but, I kind of have an opening here, but I'm not sure there's a fit here, because the opening we have isn't quite what you said is what you're worth or your sweet spot. I'm not sure it'll be a fit. So attitude, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
But I think just do whatever and somehow let people know. So again, with my newsletter, my email thing, I know I'm harping on that, but you know, you can do it anyway. But you can say, hey, you know, hey everybody, I'm good. I'm working over here with these people. These are some nice people. I would never have known them if it hadn't been for the economy blowing up. You know, I wouldn't have looked for a job in the arts. But you
Right.
know, got me driving around. I could do their books for them, but you know, they got that handled. But these are nice people, and I'm glad for the job. You know, I'm helping my cousin's group, helping them a little bit with budgets. Just want to let you know that I'm still looking for my sweet spot.
Yeah.
But these are some nice people, by the way, the arts group. And so attitude. I mean, so I might have something that's like, wow, no, what I have is teaching the third graders Spanish. I got a grant for that. I need a 20-hour-week person to teach Spanish to the third graders.
Yeah.
I don't know, except I like that art person because their attitude was so great. And they were willing to do something that isn't their sweet spot.
Wow.
I mean, so the whole attitude, because you have to work with people.
Yes. That's a good.
And if they're willing to go into something they don't know and to learn it, come to me. So, do you know Spanish? Well, I got good grades in my classes. I can't really say well, are you willing to try? Yeah. You're gonna have to study up kind of hard. Let me think about it. I'm open to it. I'm open to it. You know,
Yeah.
I really wish I was running numbers for the city of New York. You know that, right? But I mean, I like my art thing. I love what you guys do. Take the risk.
I like that.
The risk. So get something, get anything. But if you don't tell anybody,
Mm.
if you don't tell anybody, how are you going to get invited to throw out the first pitch at the Dodgers game?
Right. And what does that look like? I know you gave a couple examples, but can you kind of just say in a little more detail, what does that look like to let people know?
Okay. So the easy way is tell your social, well, there's your social media streams, and then I'm going to go back to the email list. Let me just use those for the moment because they're all free.
Right.
It's just putting it on your Instagram. Okay, you're a driver for the arts program.
Right.
Just put a picture of you in front of the truck that says the name of the arts group and say, hey, you know, I never would have known about this group, you know, until a month ago, but I'm glad to help out, you know, doing something a little bit different than economics, but these are some great people. And I love the arts group of Brooklyn. Put it on your Instagram. And you got to talk about this you know how the Instagram world works. You keep communicating the brand and
Yes.
so that's part of letting people know. I would throw that across if you don't have a Facebook, get a Facebook because multiple generations are on Facebook.
That's a good point.
A lot of the media, as you know, they're a little bit narrower on the audience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a TikTok, but that's a certain crowd. You know, LinkedIn is really sensitive, by the way, because that's very professional. So you want to be just a little more, not as carefree on LinkedIn, but throw it into all your streams. And because here's what people are listening for. The potential employers are listening for how you talk about the organization.
Interesting.
If you start bagging on the arts org, that means you're probably going to bag on this other employer. If you affirm the arts org, they say, hey, they might treat my company that way. So your social media is a big thing. So it can be like every couple of days, you know, it doesn't have to be a flood. Like, hey, I got this new job, check this out. And then here's the truck, we're driving around. Hey, here's my cubicle. You know, it looks like the old Wall Street where you had 3 brokers in the phone booth, you know?
Right.
And, hey, here's my supervisor. This person went to my same high school. It's so cool. Hey, this arts org is helping so many people. And just kind of talk about it. And after a while, And so then that's one of the biggest ways. The email list probably has the same functionality as Facebook, because you do want some 50 and 60-year-old people seeing your stuff.
Hmm.
And the Facebook demo audience tends to be a range, but a lot of older folks evidently are
Why do you
using.
say that? Why do you say that? That you want some 50 and 60-year-olds seeing your stuff?
Because some of those folks are going to be in hiring positions, or they're going to know people who are hiring.
Mm-hmm.
Percentage-wise, older folks are going to know more, people doing the hiring.
Yeah,
Versus,
I just wanted folks who are listening to and watching to get that context,
Yeah.
because I think it's so important to show why your activities and actions are relevant. Because a lot of times, especially when there's so much other things going on, it's like it can seem like just another task to do, but it's important to see that full context.
Yeah. So we can just see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And here, then the other part is that I think in all of this, let's say on your Instagram and your Facebook, you're just kind of talking and you're really hoping for A to B, for somebody to see it and go, I love you, I want to hire you. I don't think that's going to happen. What's going to happen is that people are going to ask you for help.
Yeah.
And you're going to have a choice to make, because you're like, that's not what I'm about either. I'm kind of busy. I can't be helping everybody. Say yes to the invitation.
Mm.
Somebody's like, you know what? You seem like you know a lot of people. My cousin's deal, they just need help with somebody in Staten Island. Do you know anybody in Staten Island? Friends, please, please say yes or say I'll find somebody. You may know no one in Staten Island. Get on the phone, let the person know, you know what? I don't know anybody, but I think I might know somebody. Let me come back to you tomorrow morning. Call Nana, just call somebody, call me. Okay, you know what, do you know anybody? I want to help these people.
Right.
And just try. You never know who that person is and what they're connected to. You have no idea what could happen if you just try. And maybe you give a few calls and you don't know anybody. You just call them back and say, you know what? I called Nana knows everybody except people on Staten Island. Rudy's a big talker. He don't do nothing. But I'm sorry, I don't have anybody. I'll keep an eye out.
Right.
God bless you. They will remember you. They will remember you. And it may be 6 or 7 years from now, but that person is going to be in a different position.
Yeah.
Stopped. And they're going to remember you and go, that's who I want. So please, as much as you can, respond. Tell people what you're doing. Pump up the people around you. Just keep communicating and respond whenever people ask you for something.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I guess as we wrap up, Rudy, all this has been really solid. I mean, and I just hope everybody listening that you take action. And so right below in the comment section, like comment on what you're going to take action on. Comment on what are things that you see that you can help with. All right. Because information can never, like this truth that Rudy is saying, it can never become your reality if you don't take action. Right. So please take action. And I know you will, because you're solid like that. So just to finish off, Rudy, what are just final words that you want to leave our students with, the class of 2020, who are many of the students listening to this, and even underclassmen, when it comes to questions that they should be asking and answering themselves as we just walk through these next months or even years of uncertainty?
No, great question. I want to, I'm really working, Nina, to be direct and practical with the steps, even though so much of what comes to mind is a little broader. But it's a two-step. As you just summarized so nicely, there's action steps to take along the way. I want to address the feeling that I often feel this even now.
Mm.
It can feel like you take small steps and it didn't really make a difference. At 6 p.m., you look back in your day and you're like, I behaved myself.
Mm.
I didn't spend extra on coffee, or I didn't, and I just don't feel different. It doesn't feel like anything mattered or changed. That's a real feeling. I feel it constantly. As a hope, as a note of encouragement, I've really seen that sort of consistency, and you don't even have to be perfect. You literally just have to be going in that same direction.
Yeah.
Imperfect. You could take a 3-month break, but then on the next day you keep going in that same direction.
That's encouraging.
It adds up. It adds up. So the way I describe it, like I once thought to myself, how long does it take for things to change? For things to change? Does it take a year? Does it take 10 years? I decided that it takes just under 4 years for things to change. Well, what do you mean by things? I mean anything. I mean, let me be general. And here's why. And this is the example that stuck with me. I remember, so President Obama, it was less than 4 years from the time he gave his speech at the Democratic National Convention in 2004. I think it was August 2004. That's when the broader country was first introduced to him. People knew him here and there, but that was the first time where everybody was like, oh man, who's this guy?
Wow.
And then he became president in November of 2008, but I don't count it then. I count change. I count it from when he had secured the nomination, had beaten Hillary Clinton. And that was about, I don't know, May of 2008 or so, June. And that, I was like, something changed. And it didn't take 10 years. It wasn't that long. And it wasn't that short. It wasn't 1 year. So that's how I encourage myself when behaving yourself on a daily basis just feels like a downer. Or saving money. You got all this student debt, but you're saving money. Here's your debt, and you saved some money, a little bit, and it feels like you're going nowhere. But I'm telling you, and this is I'm 52 years old. I've seen a few more things.
Right.
I'm not perfect. I'm full of problems and issues. I've accomplished a thing or two. I've seen a thing or two. It is worthwhile to keep doing those mundane practices. Those things that, because it really adds up. You're going to be shocked. You're going to look up and go, how did this happen? So yeah, things change. And so having a longer window will help you. I know you want to you'd really like to nail that job now, and you might. Keep pushing, keep talking to people. It may take a little longer to land. But it isn't just that there's hope. I think we know a little bit more. There is a time.
No, and that's a great point. And I just think about my last interview was with Marvin Scott. So he has done a lot of work in corporate social responsibility and investing. And he said that every young person should look at themselves as an investor in terms of, again, thinking about just the value and the assets and the different forms of capital that they have. And again, playing the long game. So I'm just thinking about this now. If I were to describe our students and our goal for our students, I would say it would be for them to be value investors in life, So like always looking at the long-term view of things and not even with market volatility, life volatility, like continue to like stick and stay in there. So,
you know what, Nina? So we're done with our time. We didn't even get into the money.
I know.
Nina, look, I've been raising money my whole life. I joke about being a thousandaire. I'm on the inside now.
Yeah.
Before Corona, our corpus was 1.4 billion.
What's
last
corpus?
year? We gave out $67 million in grants.
Wow.
I'm watching money move around like crazy. And so we have that approach, a long view. And I see the very practical things that we do. It's a whole lot of planning. It's a
Mm.
whole lot of 3-month, 12-month, multi-year planning. And because times are so volatile, all we do is that we've accelerated. We revisit those plans,
Good.
more, more often than typical. And because what are you going to do? It's so uncertain. Have a plan and just revisit it again.
Right.
Have a plan, revisit it tomorrow afternoon.
That's so good, Rudy.
Or next
And
week. Let me say it this way.
please.
That's what the big money is doing.
Mm.
They have plans and they're revisiting them constantly. Nothing else that you can do. No one can, you can't fix your stuff and because you don't know what's going to change. And even when you revisit and you're like, well, we're going to stick with the course, but you're reincorporating all this information. So that's what the real big money's doing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not I'm watching other big money. Our money's big compared to everything I've known, but it's actually not compared to some other stuff. Anyway, you get my point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rudy. And just a shout out to the Student Dream membership. So we have an entire membership program that will allow you to continue to figure out, hey, what action should I be taking? And will help you to create a plan and constantly adjust a plan so that you can continue to make progress even when it gets hard, right? You'll have an entire community of people like Rudy, people like myself, other peers and students to keep encouraging you. So I encourage you, like in the show notes below, to apply and to become a Student Dream member. But thank you so much, Rudy. This is great. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I know those are some long stories. Please, God bless the editors. And God bless all of you. Thank you for listening. I'm happy.
Yes.
I'm so happy that you invited me to share because I'm grateful to God for the mind-blowing things that I've experienced.
Man, thank God.
Underneath all this, I was never been perfect about it, but I've tried to be in the direct trajectory of listening to the Bible, listening to scripture and ancient wisdom. I've tried, and when I fall off, I go back in that direction. The ROI of what I've put into it, God has given me mind-blowing stuff.
Wow.
And I'm just glad to share some of that with y'all.
Well, thank you so much, Rudy. And so if people want to reach out to you so that you can come to know them, how should they do that?
Well, you can share my email with them. And yeah, you can start with that.
All right. Sounds like a plan. All right, guys. So you have all the information you need. Now it's time to take action because, again, talk is cheap, talk is broke, and broke is exhausting. So we want you to take the time right now to turn your ideas into action, turn your ideas into assets. All right? So I can't wait to see you guys. Let's go. Let's get to work. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.